Welcome back to The Job Box, the career fair in podcast form, where we unpack everyday jobs with the everyday people who work them. I'm Casey Sosa, and today I have a friend of mine, Sophia Prestwich. She's a film director. She grew up in England, went to BYU's film school. She met her husband while they're in college, and together they have two young kids, a 3-year-old and a 9-month-old. Sophia now lives in the States, in Utah. And she and her husband own and operate a small production company. As a director, Sophia's focus is on telling stories from a female perspective. Outside of work, she loves Pilates, traveling, being with her family, interior design, painting, and anything artsy or creative. So welcome, Sophia.
I'm excited to be here and chat. I was just saying before this podcast started, I was like, I wish that this existed when I was 18 years old, because I think it would have been so helpful. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad you think so. Yeah, I really hope that people can get a lot of use out of other people's experiences into their career. And so I'm really excited to talk to you today about your journey, because
Yeah.
I think the film world, as you know, as you and I know, it's so complex. There's so many facets to it, and
Yeah.
no journey of getting into the film world is the same. And so the first part of this podcast is called Who Are You and What Do You Do? So who are you and what do you do?
Well, I feel like you gave a great intro on this. Like that sums everything up. I do directing currently, mostly in the commercial space. A little bit. My work's kind of a mixture of, I'd say, documentary and commercial, because a lot of the things that I'm filming now are intertwined with like real life stories and real people, which I really enjoy. But yeah, that's what I do full time for my job. And then when I'm not working, I'm with my kids and husband and having a great time.
So tell me a little bit about how you got into the film industry.
I mean, I feel like it's the same for so many people, but I started making videos when I was really young, 14 is when I kind of started. And then I've always done videos just for fun and like with friends and stuff like that. And then as I grew older, especially when I met my husband, I filmed a lot of weddings back in the day, like a lot, way back when, just like pay for college and stuff like that. And then when I met my husband 7 years ago, he's a very business minded person, and he was like, "Why are you filming weddings? They're like these one off events that only happen one time, and it's just not like a sustainable way for like a business." And he was like, "If you do brand work, like you can work with the brands again and again and again." And so I was like, "Okay." So I started getting into that, and kind of with his nudge, and realized I really loved that, like the creativity, the relationship building. And then from there, just starting to do videography with the brands, I then transitioned, I think just by gaining their trust and trying to do great work, I was able to transition more into actual directing and hiring a crew of people and making work that I'm proud of. And yeah, I love the collaborative aspect of filmmaking. And so that's what's really enjoyable for me now that I'm directing a lot more, is getting to just focus on the vision and the story and not worry about all the other aspects that come when you're doing like videography per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It- And, you and I met on set. So, both of us are pretty familiar with what happens on a set. But for people who don't know, walk us through like what the difference is between videography, like doing weddings, and then
Yeah.
actually being on a film set. Because I think a lot of people might think of it as like, well, it's just a camera. You have a camera, point, shoot, and you make something.
Yeah.
But what's the difference there?
I mean, one of the huge differences is like the pre-production that's involved in a shoot. There's a ton of like planning and prep and location scouting and finding the right models or talent. All the production side that comes into play. There's like too many differences. It is interesting as I've gotten more into the film world. I think it's such a stark contrast. Whereas at the beginning, I was like, oh, they're like kind of similar, like videography and film, but they're really not. I feel like, especially as a director, and I do co-produce like a lot of stuff as well, which I actually really enjoy. But I feel like it's kind of like commanding a ship. Like you have all these crew members and they're all turning to you and relying on your vision to execute this thing, especially with producing. And so I think you have to be as clear as I've learned recently, especially like you have to be very clear on your vision and what you're looking for so that you can tell all these people who are looking to you what you want. And then it's great working with amazing collaborators because I feel like you then are all on the same team to achieve this vision. Whereas videography, you're just, you're a one-man band, you're doing it all on your own. You're thinking about so many different aspects, but I think on a much smaller scale. So yeah, there are tons of differences. And then post-production, there's tons of differences just with like the different various steps. I feel like in videography, again, you're just like, you're editing, you're coloring, you're doing the sound. Whereas post-production for a proper film set is more like you hand off the project to an editor. There's someone that comes in and colors it. Someone does the sound mixing. There's lots of people's opinions that you're trying to please with like the client and agency. But with videography, it's usually just direct to client. So yeah, lots of differences.
Totally. Yeah. You talked about people coloring the footage, which when I've talked to people about that, people are like, what does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, coloring footage is one whole job in and of itself.
And it's such a
And
skill,
it is. Yeah.
like that thing.
I've worked with colorists that are phenomenal at what they do, and then colorists that are like, okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so cool to see all of the different aspects of production. I want to know, like, having been through a film program, how you landed on directing, like, because I'm sure you thought about a lot of other positions.
Yeah. I think the best like advice I could give someone would just be like to try out all the different positions, see which one gives you like the most energy and which one feels the most like intuitive and natural to you. I think for me, directing's been the most natural process because like if you talk to any of my siblings growing up, my sister Olivia, if you talk to any of my siblings growing up, they will tell you that I was the bossiest person, but I'm like, look how it turned out for me, guys. Because I would boss them around. I would tell them to be in my videos. I would like be the one making up dance routines, and I'd be like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this. So I think naturally I just fell into leadership positions in creative aspects. Definitely not like if we're in a science group in school, I would definitely not be commanding the ship there. But when it comes to creative things, I love taking the lead. So I think that's a part of it. But also I love just a good story and being lost in that. Like when I watch a film or when I read a book, just getting so transported to another world, that really excites me. And when it comes to like, because I think,
I'm
yeah.
curious, what are some of your favorite stories?
Oh, I mean, if I'm just thinking about like films I've watched recently, I just watched Hamnet. I don't know if you've seen that,
It's
but
on my list. I will
oh, you
see it
need to watch
eventually.
it.
I know.
That film did something to me. Like it it like left a mark on me. You need to watch it, especially as a parent.
Okay.
It's like a must see, and just be patient with it. That's all I'll say because
Okay.
yeah, just be patient with it. But that film got to me. My favorite stories are just stories that help me have more empathy for people around me, especially people who are just different than me or in different circumstances than me. And I think that's like the most amazing thing about film is it can actually help other people to have empathy for people who are in different shoes than you.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome. I
yeah,
love, yeah, that in a creative field, you just like pull so much inspiration from stories from everywhere, whether that
yes.
be a film or a show or a book, other people's experiences.
Yeah, I actually love to eavesdrop as well, like in public settings. Like so often, if I'm just like walking past someone or sitting in a shop or just something like that and I overhear a conversation, I'll just hear like one snippet of a conversation and I can like see a whole short film play out in my mind based off like that one line of words. So I really like doing that. That's just like my creative mind. But something recently that's been like really scratching my creative itch
Mhm.
is our daughter. She's 3. She just turned 3 and she like loves her books. I feel like any toddler does. And she likes her books, but I feel like every toddler goes through a stage where they like stop eating as well as they used to. Like they just like get fussy with their food. Anyway, our 3-year-old's been going through that. And the only way I can like get her to eat or try new foods is if I tell her a new creative story, but it has to be like new and it has to be creative. And so it's been so good for me because I feel like every day I'm at the dinner table, like once upon a time there was, and I'm trying to give her a cucumber. There was a cucumber fairy. And then she'll like take a bite. And then she'll be like, what's next? And I'll be like, I'll tell you if you take the next bite. And so I like just have to make up these stories, but it's been really fun, honestly. And I'm like, I feel like this is good for my creativity because it's like pushing me to just think of the most random, wild things. And I try and make sure there's an arc in the story and a resolution and all the things. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Like, yeah, some of the most creative people I know are just like inputting creativity into their daily life. For example, yeah,
Mm.
telling a story to your kid, or pulling out a sentence from a conversation they hear. And I've heard too that just eavesdropping on conversations is a great way to write, like, to learn how to write dialogue too,
Oh,
because
yeah, yeah.
because when you listen to people talk, it shows you how people actually communicate, and then you think more about their communication styles. And I think a lot of listeners can relate with, pulling inspiration from their surroundings. And so do, it sounds like that was you from a very young age. You're just making things, with
I
your
think so.
siblings
Yeah.
and,
I honestly think I was in a, like, bit of a bubble for I feel like I still am in a bit of a bubble. I was just, like, really in my head, I think. Like, I was just always daydreaming and always distracted, like in school. But I look back and I'm like, I think those things are just part of who I am and what honestly makes me creative. Yeah, I don't, like, try to dampen those things anymore, but just, like, let them flourish. And I think growing up, especially in, like, school setting, I'm not bashing on school in any way or university. I would say school isn't, like, high school especially, isn't necessarily structured around, like, focusing on creativity as, like, the pinnacle of brilliance. Like, they
yeah,
focus more on, science, at least in my high school. I don't know, maybe people had different experiences, but, like, it was really, like, maths, science, those kind of subjects, and so they were a lot harder for me. But
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
because you went to high school in the UK, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think so too. Like, at least, yeah, school systems I grew up with were
Where did you
very
go to
focused.
school?
I went to school in Utah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and when I was in high school, it was similar. Like, there was a focus on, your main, like, history, science, math,
Yeah.
the languages of learning kind of thing, and then, like, language arts. And there were classes you could take to hone your creativity. Like, I think there was a video production class that I actually never took in high
Oh,
school,
no.
but I just, yeah, it is structured for a certain type of person that, yeah, it's
It's
yeah, it
interesting.
it is difficult, yeah.
Yeah. I think though looking back, like I think I really focused on the creative stuff outside of school, and I think that's what really helped me. Like I was always like painting or listening to music, or I'd rush home and like make videos, and I think that's what really counts honestly, is like what you're doing in that time outside of school hours that like really shows you maybe what you want or what you want to do with your life. And a lot of people don't know that, I know, but at least for me
No,
that was
totally.
really helpful.
Yeah, for sure. No, I was doing the same thing. Like, I would go home, make videos with my friends.
I just finished reading this book by Emma Greed. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's co-founder of Skims. She's this British lady who, yeah, she co-founded Skims with Kim Kardashian. She's a mother of four, but like
Oh, wow.
really business oriented. Anyway, her book's really interesting. Don't agree with everything in the book, but one of the things I agree with is like she says people ask her all the time, "What should I do with my life? Like, what career should I take?" And she's like, "It's so simple. What gives you energy and what drains your energy? Like whatever gives you energy and makes you literally feel excited and yeah, energized, like follow that and go after that. And then whatever drains you, that's clearly not for you. So, and I really believe in that. So,
Totally. Yeah, I mean, you're
yeah.
gonna spend a lot of your life in your career,
Yeah.
just spending time doing things with people you don't know, or,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
you know, doing some creative problem solving. And so hopefully it is something that you enjoy. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's gonna suck.
Yeah. I just think like, what are you willing to burn the midnight oil for? Because
Mm.
like, what are you willing to push past the barriers for? And I think, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I have conversations all the time with people about them figuring out what they want to do. And I feel like I am a bit of an anomaly in regards to, I have always known I've wanted to do film since I was like 12 or 13, but most people don't always know. But I think that's a good maybe piece of advice, is just like slowly following after the trickles of like curiosity and just seeing where that path leads. Because I think I just think you can never go wrong following that kind of intuition or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
So
that's really good advice.
I don't.
So now that you've been in production for a while now, I want to get into, like, this next section of the podcast, which is the good, the bad, and the break room. And I have this little Right. So what is the good? What's the bad? And then what's like the in between? Like how do you spend time outside of work?
Yeah. The good is your creative mind is just active all the time. It is if that's what sets your heart on fire, that's for you because yeah, you just always get to exercise that creative muscle. And I think in a lot of other jobs you do not get that opportunity. So it's really fun. The good, like I said before, the collaboration aspect, I absolutely love the collaboration aspect, working with a crew. And I just love when everyone's great at their job and everyone's excited about their job and we all want to work together to make the best thing possible. I love, honestly, a lot of the clients we work with. Like, I consider a lot of the clients we work with friends. Yeah, we work together. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many
yeah.
people I just consider, and I don't know, Utah, maybe it's because I'm in Utah and surrounded by so many amazing people here. But yeah, I love a lot of the people that we work with. We don't always have that experience, but a lot of the times we do, which is really nice.
And
Yeah.
you mentioned like you being able to like flex that creative muscle so often. In what ways have you been able to do that?
I mean, just thinking of new ideas always, like clients want something fresh and interesting and they want your perspective. So I think for me, at least maybe this is because I started out doing a lot of work that's like super personal to me and who I am. They kind of keep wanting that. And so not necessarily about me, but maybe about my experience through like a female lens, especially. That's kind of what a lot of my work is now, I feel like. And so because of that, I'm constantly having honestly to like dig deep and think about my own experiences and how I can like translate this through film. So yeah, I think it's a lot of introspection and a lot of getting vulnerable. And yeah, because I think with my style of work, at least, I think the more personal and vulnerable I can get, the more it will relate to other people. So I feel like I'm constantly having to try and exercise that side of
Yeah.
myself.
That's really cool. I know some of your clients, but like would you mind
Yeah.
sharing some of your favorite clients you've worked with?
Yeah. So I love the Maybe team. They make baby carriers. They're a company based in Idaho, actually, and the founders are there. They're amazing. They're so amazing. They're so trusting and like willing to, they'll come, a lot of times clients will come to me with like the broad idea and then I get to maybe dig out the details a little bit. But I love working with them. Oh, True, they are amazing to work with as well. I love their team so much. They're just like the best, funniest, just group of people ever. Like we just laugh and have so much fun. Like it's like when we shoot together, it feels like it's not really work.
That's awesome. My
Cozier,
my
they're amazing.
wife loves True Fruit. I mean, I
Really?
like it too,
Ah,
but Maddie loves True Fruit.
really?
Yeah,
I should ask them to
that's cool.
send a box to you. Yeah.
But but
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's really cool.
there's so many great people.
I actually did. I actually was wondering, with your focus being on telling the stories of women, how has that been going? Like, I feel like, and how does that, reflect the industry itself?
I mean, my response overall has been super positive and yeah, it's been really positive. Yeah, I'm sure there is a lot of work to be done, but from my perspective, I think I've had experiences where they're very welcoming of like my ideas and my thoughts and there's a lot of trust. And I think that's because I've done a lot of direct to client work. Um, so yeah, overall, I think there's definitely a space for people are welcoming of the female perspective and want more women to like be on set and for us to all work together. Like I love hiring a mostly female crew. And I don't do it just because we're females, but I think depending on the project, it like creates a safer environment depending on like what we're filming. Like if we're filming something that's like a woman's issue or it's about, I don't know, hormonal things or periods, like those kind of things. If we're filming those scenes, I think having like a female grip there or a female DP like makes all the difference. But at the same time, I love my guys and I love my crew members who they're just really good at what they do and they're really respectful and really, yeah, just great to work with. So overall, yeah, I've had really positive experiences. So it's hard to know what the industry looks like as a whole. But I've heard obviously in the past it's been very like difficult. So I'm sure I'm standing on like the many women who've paved the path for me beforehand, and I probably just don't even realize it.
That's great though that you've had such positive experiences. I think that also shows how great you and Izzy are at pulling a great crew together to like people that you enjoy working with, that enjoy working with you, and that want to be around each other, even on the, when the work gets really hard and it's been a long day and everyone's a little frustrated at each other, but can still work together really well. So
Yeah, yeah. Thanks.
yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of the hard days, what about the bad? What's the bad part of the job?
I think the bad or like the hard part, well, rejection. Like if you're pitching on a job, I'm signed with a production company here in the US, and it's really, really competitive. You're oftentimes competing against 150 other directors, and you hope that you get shortlisted. And when you get shortlisted, then you create a treatment and you pour your heart and soul for 3 days into this treatment, and you just get so excited about the idea and know that you can make it so good and execute it, and then you don't win the job. That is like really hard. So I've learned to build I think I've gotten a lot better at experiencing rejection, honestly, and not taking it nearly as personally as I did like a few years ago. But yeah, it's an ever evolving thing.
Yeah. Talk to me about that process. I know this process, but yeah, explain it a little bit. Like, so
Yeah.
you pitch to
So
a client.
yeah, so a client, let's say Dove, like big commercial brand will come and say, we have this idea. Well, they'll work with the agency and say, hey, this is our idea for what we kind of want. The agency will then look for production companies or directors, maybe from production companies. And then all these production companies get on board. They whittle it down to like, I don't know actually what the scope is for like a normal amount of projects. It's just been my experience, but around 150 directors. And obviously, if it's something for Dove, like women, they try and find something that's, directors that have that kind of portfolio. So then from that big group, they then whittle it down to 3 directors usually. Sometimes it's 2 directors, but oftentimes it's 3, which is called a triple bid. I wish someone had explained this to me. I didn't know about this until a few years ago when I got signed. It gets whittled down to 3 usually. So a triple bid. Those 3 directors usually have a call with the agency just to understand what the client's wanting. They will then go away and make a treatment, so a treatment is like a big document that fully explains how you would execute their idea and their vision. So you talk about everything in there, from like what kind of talent you'd want to choose, what locations you'd want, the music, how you'd want it to feel, just the tone, everything, and kind of what your take is on it. And this can range, a treatment I feel like can range from anywhere from minimum like 10 pages to like 100 pages. I've never done an 100-page one. Only like, I'd say my average one's like 30 pages. Yeah, you pour your heart and soul into that and making it the best it can be. And then the agency will kind of have their recommendation. They'll present it to the client. And then it's the client who gets like the end say of which director they want to go with, which director and production company, because they're linked. Hope you win the job. And then if you win the job, you go to wherever it's at in the world and do the shoot and have a great time and make the thing.
Yeah.
So
And yeah, that's a lot of time to put into it. And I,
yes.
fortunately and unfortunately, have been on the other side of that where I see a lot of treatments come through and then
Yeah.
have to be on the deciding side of things, right? And so
Yeah.
like it's really hard to break the news to a production company that doesn't get it,
Yeah.
because I know how much time they worked on it.
Yeah. I'd be so curious
But
to be in your position for a day just to like, yeah, be on that other side of things. Because yeah, I love seeing other directors' treatments, but I don't get to see them very often. So it's really interesting seeing how people explain things and present things, and yeah.
yeah,
And
really,
usually with
I've
a
learned so much from those. So
really, I'm like, you could probably go out and direct yourself now from probably seeing all of them.
yeah, I mean, I've directed a few things here and there, but yeah, I definitely want to give it a go at some point.
Yeah. I see your
But
stuff.
yeah, no, that's a lot of time to put into something, and when you do end up getting the job, then it's like, probably at least weeks, and on bigger productions, probably like a month or two of
Yeah.
pre-pro production and then post-production, depending on the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of time, most times it's out of state, so not in Utah. Yeah, it's a big commitment. Like for me, especially, it's time away from my family. So yeah, it's been interesting because although I love like the agency stuff, it's actually made me really appreciate the direct to client stuff because I feel like honestly I get more creative say and a lot of times I get to choose like where we're filming and so I'll almost always shoot in Utah because we have so many great locations here. And then it's the best because I'm like I can do a 12-hour shoot and still get home and tuck my kids into bed. So for me it's like the best of both worlds. At least like this season of my life where they're really young and they like I feel like really need me. I'm also nursing, so that makes a big difference. It's hard like when I'm away. I did a
Oh, yeah.
shoot in November in California for a week and I was, yeah, pumping every 3 hours. They'd be like, "Where's Sophia?" And I'd be like,
Wow.
"I'm in the bathroom."
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's gotta be really tough as a
yeah,
director, having
it
to walk away
is.
and yeah, that's,
I mean, I
um
try and do it at the most convenient times, like lunch break, or if they're, doing a new lighting setup. Like I was literally like 2.5 months postpartum doing that shoot, which I look back and I'm like, why did I do that? But
and so many industries are just not built for parents.
no, I will say that is like, I guess a negative is, and I've had one experience where I guess in a sense I was like shamed a little bit. I won't go into the whole story of that, but it is hard explaining to people who don't have kids or anything like that to just be like, yeah, I need to go do this thing. It's like literally necessary. I don't really have a choice, honestly, if especially after having a baby. So, but I've oftentimes just been met with like understanding and respect. So that's been nice. But it is hard because you feel this sense of like, yeah, obligation and like, I don't know, things like that. So I wish, especially for mums in the industry, I wish there was more of like built into the schedule, maybe just more room for breaks. And actually, that's something I've tried really hard to implement myself when I'm like producing or directing. If we're working with kids, I'm like ultra aware of that. Like we were doing a shoot with this couple once, and the mum had just had her baby. Like he was only like 6 months old, and I literally built into the schedule like breaks because I knew she was nursing, and I knew that like kids, we have to be understanding of their time schedules and naps and all the things. So just trying to be flexible in that way. And I think it's hard I'm going off a bit here, but I think it's hard from like a brand perspective or a production company perspective because it's like, every minute is $1 essentially. And so that's hard. But I think if we're truly going to be welcoming of women and especially mothers in the space, then that is like a necessity to me. So that's something that I'm
I
hopeful will change.
well, and being a mother yourself, you're able to have that foresight for children on set, parents who have new kids, building into the schedule, nap time even, like, that's just unheard of, and but there's, the but kids are the future of the industry, and so, if they have a great experience on set or, they remember that or a parent has a great experience on set, then they're gonna clock that. Yeah, and I think that's something to remember for anyone who's hoping to have a family later on in their
Yeah.
career is like, it's what is the industry like for families? It's a good question to have when you're considering a job. Like, are you gonna be working nights and weekends, and are you going to have time for a spouse or kids?
Yeah.
It's just something to consider.
Yeah. I will say, like, I totally thought growing up, like, you really had to choose between being a mom or being, in a career. And I think, like, the world is changing in some ways, really not for the best. But in some ways, I think we're becoming more accepting of, working mothers, which we should, because it's just like a reality for a lot of us. But yeah, I think that choice isn't as sharp anymore, and that we it is a possibility, but it does come with like a lot of sacrifice. And I wish I could like talk to my younger self and just be like, it actually is possible, but have these things set in place. Like have a great spouse. That is like the number one thing. Like someone who fully supports you and can help you, which I'm so grateful. I feel like I really have that. Be accepting, willing to accept help, And then again, like, is this something you're willing to burn a midnight oil for? Like the amount of late nights I pull, like the amount of times I go to bed at midnight or 1 a.m. and then wake up at 2, 4, 6 to like feed my baby. I think it shows myself how much I love it to do that, because like I don't have to, but I really do love it. And so that's why I do it.
Yeah, like when you're in a role like yours, it's so important to be good at your craft and to have that drive and that passion for it. Because when you have that drive, it just makes the work so much better.
Yeah.
And it also shows that like how much you love your kids too. As you know, like you work so late, but then are waking up with them a few hours later. And yeah, it's a I also know from like being a parent myself that having kids is a big decision.
Yeah.
And I wish I kind of knew how much time it would take, because like I want to spend time with my kids as much as I can, but I also know that I need to perform well at my job. And so walking that balance can be
Mm.
so difficult sometimes, especially when you want to give your full attention to both.
Yeah, it is really hard. I feel like that's the challenge of my existence, honestly, at least right now. Just, yeah, I think I've just accepted that it's rare that I'm going to have a perfectly balanced life. Like, I just don't think that's the reality for most people, but I think it's about like trying to find the equilibrium when everything's feel a little bit out of balance. There are times when it's really intense with work and I'm like, I've got like 3 big projects going on at the same time and I'm pulling the late nights and I have the babysitter all day and I just don't feel like I'm honestly feel like I'm missing out on moments with my kids. And right now I'm like trying to have more of the balance of just like spending time with my kids before I know it's going to pick back up again in a couple of weeks. So it's really, really hard. But yeah, it's just difficult when you love both things so much. Like I love my kids more than my work, like transparently. I mean, I'm sure most people would agree
Yeah,
with
yeah,
that.
yeah, for sure.
But like, yeah, it's hard when you love your work too. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, and it's not only that you love your work, but it's also like how you make your living. It's not just there for your passion at that point. It's also there for your family's
you're
well-being. And
literally,
so
yeah.
that's part of
That's part of
that's
the
part of the
problem.
difficulty. Yeah.
Yeah. I always think about that. I'm like, I should just go after a job I hate and then this be all much easier, but can't do that. Yeah, that is a whole thing though. Like when your hobby turns into your job, I don't know, the pressure's on. Yeah. Anyway.
Totally. So, it sounds like it's pretty sporadic, your schedule, right? Is it,
Um,
it sounds like one week you're on, one week you're off, depending on what project you're working on.
yeah, I mean, when it comes to being on set, yeah, I'm not, on set every week. Well, some weeks I am, but like last month I had like, yeah, we had a lot of big projects, but like talking about that equilibrium, I've said no to like quite a few things recently because they either honestly didn't pay high enough, weren't worth my time, or just I feel really, really privileged and grateful right now for this phase I'm at because this for sure wasn't always like this where I could just like say no to a lot of things. Like there was a time where we were saying yes to everything that came our way because that's how we earn money. But I think thankfully now we're at a point where we can earn great money doing these jobs and so it's like we don't have to take everything that comes our way. But yeah, like right now I'm in pre-production for 3 projects and post-production for 2. Like tomorrow I'm working. I have my babysitter at least from 10 till 4. So I think every single day I am working, at least Monday through Friday. Some days it's 2 hours, some days it's 8, some days it's 13 hours if I'm on set.
Yeah, wow,
So
yeah, that the
yeah.
grind just keeps going.
Yeah. But like talking about the nights, I think that's part of the reason I also do a lot of late nights is because in my mind, I think, okay, I don't have to pay a babysitter right now and I don't have to miss out on time with my kids. So if I work from like as soon as we could put the kids down at 8 o'clock until one in the morning, that's 5 hours of free time. And also I can get into that deep focus mode of creativity where I'm just like, whereas when I'm like trying to plan or write a treatment upstairs and I can hear my kids downstairs playing with the babysitter, I'm like, part of my
Oh
heart
yeah.
feels torn and I should just go down and make sure they're okay.
Totally, yeah. No, I just showed my kid Soul for the first time, the Pixar movie Soul,
Wait, is
where
that the,
it's the one with the jazz players.
oh, I haven't seen,
Have you seen that one? It's really
I don't
good.
know if I've seen it.
But there's in it they're talking about, you know, like people who are in that creative mode, they're in the zone. And so like they're
I
kind
need
of
to
in
watch
that
this.
space between yeah, they're in
Like
this space.
reality and like a made up world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
That
in
is
this
me.
space because like yeah, soul it's all about like the
But
great before and the great beyond is what they call it, like a
mm.
pre-life and after death kind of situation.
Is this a
And
short
so
film?
no,
Is it it's
it's
a
a
full film?
feature length movie.
Okay,
Um
I need to watch this.
it's so good.
Wait, I
But
really
yeah,
need to watch this.
the zone is yeah, it's the space between like their Earth life and like the pre or post life.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so
I'm always in that space. Like Izzy would be
yeah,
trying to have a conversation with me and I'm like, sorry, what? Like I'm not
you're just
I
locked in. Yeah,
yeah.
I go there too.
It's such a great place to be.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, you were talking about how, you know, now you're kind of at a point where you're like financially in a good spot where you're getting work that kind of sustains your family and your life outside of work. And so this next portion is called the bacon, where we talk about money.
Great.
What can people expect when they first enter the industry? And you know, and this might be different, like your journey might be different than others, but for you,
Yeah.
what could, you know, what could you tell people to expect when they first enter the industry?
I think if you are wanting to go into true directing, commercial directing, or like actual films, be prepared for a lot. In my experience and from everything I've heard from friends in the industry, be prepared for a lot of sacrifice. You have to be willing to put your time and money into your projects for people to trust you and believe that you can make something great for them and their brand. So I remember doing my first like proper spec piece and I put like I think 2,000 or 3,000 into that, and which at the time was honestly a lot of money. Like me and Izzy were newly married, you know, not a lot of money in the bank account by any means, but I think because of the direction that I came up in with videography, that was such a blessing for us. You know, we started out charging really cheap, like $500 a day for a shoot. And then we got up to a place where we were charging like 2,500 a day for a shoot. And again, just videography. So there's no outgoing expenses with videography really. If you're doing like the filming, the editing, all the things, which at the time, quite a few years ago, I was doing all of that. Yeah, I say we because Izzy and I were doing it together full time for like 5 years. We don't anymore. He still helps me with producing, um, a lot of the projects I do now, but he's also doing his own he does like 5 other things right now. Anyway, I can actually get into part of what he does though, because I think that this would be helpful. But yeah, I think I'll just say this. I think money transparency is actually really important to talk about because I think it just helps other people like gauge whether or not they actually want to get into this industry if they know like how much you can make or how much you won't make. But with videography, we were consistently doing $2,500 gigs, 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week. And so that was earning a really good amount for us. And for us, we decided to invest that into 2 rental properties. And I think, and we like pushed ourselves really hard. Like we're both pretty goal orientated people. And so, yeah, I think that was great for us because now that gives us passive income and our mortgages, like with those rental property incomes, it makes our monthly outgoing expenses really low. So I'm really grateful to ourselves for like setting ourselves up like that because I think that then gives a lot more room now with 2 kids to take risks and things like that. So in the true directing world, like my day rate as a commercial director is minimum 10,000 a day. So 10 to 15,000 a day is how much I get to direct with my production company. It's a lot different, I will say, with direct to client work because I'm a lot I know that most don't have the budget. Like if I'm trying to do a 2-day shoot, that's like, you know, 30K just for me and on top of paying a crew. So that's just not a realistic thing for a lot of companies. So I'm a lot more lax with that, which maybe I shouldn't be, but I am because a lot of the times I'm like, this project sounds really fun. I'm passionate about it.
I agree with you that like transparency is so key for people who are already in the industry, like to be transparent with people coming into the industry so that they can know, because for so long money has been such a taboo thing
Yeah.
to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think if we want later generations to be successful, we need to let them know the realities of the industry. And so
Yeah.
that's really great. Thank you for sharing all of that. And I think where you're at now is probably very different from where you started. You were doing $2,500 gigs a day, and I know a lot of people who enter the film industry and are doing and are being PAs or production
Yes.
assistants for for like, I don't know,
Yes.
maybe $15 an hour or
Yeah.
something, like,
Yeah.
and so
It's
anyway.
interesting because I was kind of like told, there's two ways to like get into the film world. One is just like going out, shooting spec work, doing your own thing and like calling yourself a director and like actually directing, or you can start at the bottom of the totem pole as like a PA and work your way up through the crew list essentially until you get to finally direct. And I was like, I'm not about the long hard slog of working my way up. I don't want to do that. I just want to be directing. And so yeah, I put my time and money, my husband and my time and money. I feel like he honestly sacrificed a lot to help me get to this position. So I have him to thank for with a lot of this. But
Yeah, that's great. I
yeah,
think I think that that's also another key point is like, if you're going to be in a long-term partnership, it's really important that you have someone who is supportive of you and you can support them.
yeah,
Just kind of like that team player, especially like, with you two having kids. And I know, my own marriage is so crucial for professional development, but also our development as parents and as all of the other roles that we play in our lives. And so,
yeah,
yeah, that's great. One thing that you mentioned is how you've, invested in rental properties, and so many industries kind of like put you in a box, right? You are one role, but I think it is so important to look at other things as well, like investing in real estate. That's another aspect of work, like
yeah.
you're doing work to bring in an income to live the life that you are hoping to live. And so, yeah, it's really important to look outside just the box of a 9 to 5 job or anything other than 9 to 5, right? For other opportunities that could allow you to live that life.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think being smart with your money, like in your 20s especially, just investing or putting your money into things that your future self will thank you for. Like, don't spend money on a nice flashy car with a huge loan. Like, if you want to be a director, invest in the best, as much as you can afford, like the best models or actors that you can find and have them being your thing. Just invest in things that will help you get to that next point. Invest in spec pieces if you want to actually direct. Yeah, just be smart with your money. Don't spend it on stupid clothing or shoes or handbags or stuff that just doesn't benefit you in 10 years time. I just think if you can work hard in your 20s and be smart about your money, it will like pay in dividends in the future. I really believe that.
Yeah, and it sounds like you've done that
We did work hard and we still work hard. But
totally.
yeah.
And yeah, and that's really cool to be able to speak from experience like that. So, moving into the next section called Note to Self, where I want you to speak to past you, this past version of you who was, I don't know, maybe just graduated high school, maybe is in college. I don't know. You can start where you want, but what advice would you give yourself as far as your career goes?
I would say don't be afraid of the future, but be really excited for it because it holds great things. Learn to be still. I'm still trying to learn this, but learn to be still and just sit with your thoughts because that's when your best ideas will often come.
Do you say that because you weren't very still?
Yeah, I think even now, like I really struggle with just being still. Like it's so hard for me to be still. And so I feel like I'm trying to force myself now to be still. But I think that like learning to just, yeah, sit with your thoughts is where your creative mind can flourish. And if you can like dig deep and think about your own experiences in a like introspective way.
If you don't mind me asking, what taught you that?
To sit still, having a baby, like genuinely, because like nursing, you are forced to be still. I try walking around with one hand when they're really small, but like you just have to be still. And I actually really love nursing. for that reason, because I'll just sit in my chair feeding my baby, and it gives me a chance to just like, I try to not have my phone on me. I'm not perfect at that, but I try. So I'm just still, and there's no other place I can be. And I think so many of my best ideas come from that. It's crazy. I'm like so grateful for, yeah, just that experience. Like
That's awesome.
it
And
makes me sad because I'm like, all my creative ideas stop. But yeah.
no, well, I'm curious. When you say still, do you mean like screen free too?
Yeah, both. Well, okay. I do you listen to the Jay Shetty podcast? I don't know
I
if you
don't.
do. Oh, you should. I feel like you would really. I feel like you and him would vibe podcast wise. But anyway, he's like the number one health and wellness podcast I think in the world. But basically, I was listening to it the other day, just a 20-minute segment, and he talks about how the most creative part of your brain actually can't flourish when you're consuming other art, even if it's great art or videos or things like that. Because I always thought, oh well, if I'm like on Vimeo or Instagram watching all these other great like directors and filmmakers work, like that's great. And I think it is to an extent, but if you're constantly doing that and never giving yourself a chance to just be still or do mundane, quote unquote, boring things, that's actually detrimental to your creative mind. And they like did this whole science experiment with it. Anyway, so yeah, just being screen free and being just sitting with my thoughts and doing like literally nothing.
And that makes a lot of sense because I mean, everyone is always on their phone these days. Like
Yeah.
I ride the train on my commute to work, and anytime I'm stopped at the station, I look around sometimes and notice that everyone there is just looking down at their phones. And it's even when that might be one of the greatest times to, like eavesdrop on a conversation or take a look around at the beauty just right there next to you in like the cars in the parking lot or like there's fields of horses there or like, another train passing. There's just so many things that can be inspiring
Yeah.
in those moments of stillness that we take for granted and instead choose to look down at our phones.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of that. I'm so
Yeah.
guilty of
Yeah.
doing that
Everyone
same
is.
thing. Yeah, but yeah, the moments that I found to be the most creatively stimulating for myself is the times where I can focus on one thing or like look around me
Yeah.
and just take it all in.
One thing I've been thinking about recently too is just like going deep with something. So like my daughter will always, when we're on walks, she'll pick up these flowers or weeds. They're really weeds, but they look like flowers. And like she'll like look deep inside and like try and like see all the tiny like speckles or like little pieces of like pollen within this flower or weed. And just like, I don't know, when was the last time as an adult that you did that? Like that you really like got that kind of close with nature. So yeah, it's just, I'm so grateful for them. And I think as adults, especially with our phone usage, we just get so used to like these dopamine hits and we just keep going after it again and again and again. And that's something I keep thinking about for like the younger generation and like my children, how I can help them to resist that and to like just, yeah, be still and sit with their thoughts and not get into that never ending cycle. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I have so many
and
thoughts on that.
no, totally. I do too. And I think that, yeah, facilitating that curiosity is what I think is that first step. Like
Yeah.
the fact that, I mean, kids teach you so much. Just the way that they see the world is so inspiring
Yeah.
because of how deeply they look into something like a flower or, a little ant crossing
Yeah.
the one piece of cement in our
Yeah. Yeah.
backyard,
It's
and
so
like
true.
it's just
My daughter will always notice, yeah, like ladybugs or, yeah, ants or bugs or things like that. Like the best thing is just being an example as well, just trying to like not have our heads down and just give them our attention because like I can say all these things, but if I'm not like living that way, then that's going to create conflicting messages to them. So yeah, that's also something I'm like actively always working on, but it's hard.
it is hard. It is hard with yeah, just like you said, the dopamine hits are strong.
Yeah, yeah, plus Instagram and all the other social media apps.
But, piece of advice would you give for someone kind of entering into, starting out their directing career?
I would just say go out and make stuff. You don't have to have the fanciest camera in the world. You don't have to have the best talent in the world. But if you can figure out maybe what stories resonate with you or kind of what message you want to share with the world and just make stuff, like you have to accept that your first stuff that you make is probably going to be pretty bad. It will be bad, actually. If you can just challenge yourself, like really challenge yourself and try and make every piece a little bit better than the last, I think that you can go a long, long way. I would just say make work that like actually speaks to you or something that's on your mind that you want to translate into film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that I love the advice to just keep making things because, yeah, it will get better over time. You may not see it at first, but project after project, you'll look back and see, "Okay, yeah, I've actually come really far." So,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, so, this last little piece I call your future commute, and what I mean by that is where are you going from here? So here you are on your way to your future commute.
I love all those sound effects. Um, yeah, that's a good question. So, I mean, my goal is to just continually try and stay on this path of making things that feel heartfelt and thoughtful and try really hard to not get sucked into the money making corporation side of the commercial world. So that's one aspect. Another thing that I want to push myself to do more of is more narrative work and more long form content. A lot of the stuff that I'm making currently is commercial, which is, a minute, sometimes a minute and a half, but usually like 30 seconds to a minute, which is really fun. But there's only so much story that can go into that. So this year and the next year especially, I'm trying to push myself to make more, yeah, long form pieces. I would actually love, and I need to get with a writer. I have the idea, but I need to get with a writer to make something that's like a short film thing that'll be like 10 minutes long where I'm working with um, just the best actors I can find and telling a story that I'm really passionate about. That's actually to do with technology, like we're kind of talking about, and childhood, because that's something that's really
Oh, so you have something in the works.
I have a very strong idea. Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, my last question for you is, are you hiring? And by that, I mean, like, how does someone work with you?
Yeah. You can email me and just say you're interested in working with us. Tell us kind of what position you want to do on set. Usually, if you're just beginning, you'll just come and be a PA and production assistant on set. You can just kind of like get a feel for how things work, hopefully be helpful in some capacity. We're always looking for new great editors. So if that's something interesting to you, then would love to help with that. But yeah, we're always working with new people. And I always love just enthusiastic people that just want to get involved and learn and get into the thick of everything. So I'm always very welcoming of that because I was once that person.
I'm sure people will want to get involved now. So thank you so much for sharing your journey to
Yeah.
becoming a director. And I think that people will take a lot of inspiration from you and what you've accomplished in your career.
Thanks. Thanks so much. Thanks for letting me just, yeah, I had a great chat with you.